Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Tuesday, July 27th at 11:37 a.m. And this is Noah Rant Day. Full faith and credit. They love that phrase. They think they is us, elected politicians. They were us, but they think they're different than us. I think they could provide solutions for us. Are they the only people that could help us? Is that the most arrogant ideology? That people can't help themselves? People cannot create their own solutions? I was watching, or I started to watch, and I want to watch more of that Senate hearing today. I posted it on Twitter. And just every word that comes out of politicians' mouths is not demoralizing. It's just painful. They, we could fix our own problems, and because of the mentality of politicians and government overall, we're forced to engage in daily activity that I don't really want to. Interestingly, I say this with regard to spending time managing capital and the stuff that we do in the crypto space. I don't really want to do this. The whole point of everything I've talked about over the last year and a half is to get our portfolios in a configuration such that we don't have to look at them and we don't have to be burdened by them. We don't have to work. The whole point of capital management is freedom, financial freedom. And that's what's so frustrating. It doesn't exist in legacy finance. There's no way to get financial freedom in legacy finance right now. And financial freedom isn't a bank account filled with $1 million or $10 million, because you'll never have enough. Financial freedom is a revenue stream, a source of income, such that you're not burdened or restricted with what you say or how you work. You work on your terms. You want to work for a company? Great. You want to work for another company? Great. I leave, I go, I do this. But you can't. You literally are forced to work because it's a burden. If you lose a job, you lose an income. And that's frustrating and anxiety and painful in many regards. And that's the burden. The burden is freedom of choice. And this financial system that we live in doesn't offer freedom of choice to the not even to the a decent minority. The ultra wealthy, the billionaires, they're free to do whatever they want, whatever they want, how they want. Yeah, I tell you guys all the time, I love working. I need to work. You need to have purpose, and I say that all the time. Purpose is everything. You define a purpose for yourself, but the problem is we are constantly overshadowed by this burden of repression, of needing to think about our finances. And that's so damn annoying. I'm an engineer, I'm a software programmer, an Android developer, and I just want to work on my own terms and build things. And I would love to get into Viper and working with contracts. It's not that hard. I just don't have the damn time. And it's not about someone saying make the time. No, I don't have the time because I have to manage finances. I have to program certain things that I enjoy it, but I'd rather be doing other things like learning, and I can't because I don't have the freedom. And what would many folks say? Many folks might say maybe that's an entitled mentality. It's a first world problem. I'm not free to do what I want when I want. That just shows you the state of the planet and how horrible the conditions are. That most people are not even lucky enough to be in a position like myself. Most people are barely struggling to live, yet alone the luxury of thinking of notions of freedom of choice. Most people don't even have freedom to live, and that's just appalling for the state of our global society and the state of our species. These are real. These thoughts of mine are not just random, uh, random rants. What I have is observations, and I try and articulate them. And I know other people think the same way, and that's the whole point of the stream. Full faith and credit. It's just such a disappointing phrase that we hear uttered constantly protect the system. No, do something better. Do something good. Do something real. Do something meaningful. Do something interesting and exciting instead of boring and frustrating and because so many of us know that what they're doing is not innovative, not interesting. It's not exciting. You're going to get nowhere with a savings account. You're going to get nowhere putting your capital in the securities markets that are. The SEC loves to say that they prevent manipulation and uh, and all the the negative things associated with public markets, and and I would argue that they do nothing. They do nothing meaningful. Because if we had regulation and it was effective, we wouldn't have these systemic issues. The Fed wouldn't be buying what they're buying. The system would work. The system doesn't work. The system requires constant intervention. It's a failed system. And they just persist with it. Like somehow it's worth saving because there's honor in not innovating. You know, the Stamp Senate Committee today, it's all about defense of the status quo to make sure the economy is strong and robust so people could get up and go to work doing shit they don't want to do. It's insulting. You know, it's like there's no philosophers or engineers that even contribute to the conversations. Where's the politician that says, we're going to build something new and we're going to iron out the complexities in offering new financial system components. We're going to offer you alternatives. We're going to offer you ways to assess and to assess how much work is needed to achieve financial well-being. All a person really wants to do at their fundamental core is know how much work they need to do to achieve a particular result. How much work do I need to do in order to be financially free? Once I get financially free, then it's another story. Then it's a personal thing, what people define as their purpose. But right now, for everyone that listens to me, including myself, and 99.99% of society, their only goal is accumulating money for, and they really don't. Most people don't have the luxury of figuring out what to do with financial freedom. Anyway, just a lot of frustration today and ranting. So let's get into the stream. I'll get to your guys' questions. I'll show you guys a couple things. I modified some uh, balancing and positions I have in the portfolio. Let's dig in. Today's episode is sponsored by Change Angel, the non-custodial swap exchange for social goods. Stop depositing on exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto, non-custodial DeFi, or nothing at all. Bam, let's pop it over to the main screen and see who's in the stream. Ding, ding, we stay strong together morning, afternoon, and evening. Yeah, we you need community because you need people that have shared ideology. We share our frustrations, we share our ideas, we share strategy, and that's what humanity is all about: being in it together and working together. And that's literally not what government is anymore. It's just heading down such a bad road. And that was literally in the Senate hearing today about cryptocurrencies. Where is this? You guys got to watch this thing. Every word out of their mouths is nothing about innovation, excitement, purpose, meaning. It's all about our economy that's so motivating, our economy that's so incredible, it's the best in the world. Oh, I can't stand that rhetoric. So here it is. Watch your politicians see if they represent you. I mean, that's probably something that irritates me the most. I don't hear any politician really saying things that are like, oh my God, you represent me. I don't have a representative. This is not a representative government if I don't have a congressman that I feel represents me. So even the structure of the political system doesn't represent me. The structure of the monetary system is not something I want to use. It's like if you walk into with regard to products and services. You're evaluating the product. Go to a grocery store and you're looking at 10 different brands of ketchup. You're like, all right, I like this one. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like the financial system. I don't like it. I don't want to use it. It's a burden. It's frustrating. It's angering. It's repressive. It's oppressive. Why don't they get that? Why don't the politicians talk on the Senate hearing and say, oh my God, our public doesn't like our money. We should do something about it. No, they get up there and say, the financial system is good. We got to protect the economy, and it's old. It's like trying to force people to use Windows 95. For the love of God, make something new. Build something. Make something inspiring. Something meaningful that gives people purpose and excitement. Instead, you defend boring and deprecated. So frustrating. Gaijin. Hey Noah, you have any USDT? What's going to happen if Tether implodes? There's no such thing as imploding. Tether is backed by assets. Those assets don't implode. Some of them can implode, which means you'll have an off peg. Let's say you get the 70 cents on the dollar. That doesn't mean much. And that's where you manage risk. And MUSD is a great place to manage risk, which is where I've deployed some capital. And in theory, if Tether implodes, that'll force people to sell their Tether to buy something else that's going up in price. So if Tether implodes, in theory, they just buy Bitcoin. And now because you're trading back and forth dollar denominated. So if all of a sudden Tether, the margin call, and people are recollateralizing it, and Tether's going up in price, all it is an asset that goes up and down in price. They want it to be pegged to $1 for functional purposes, but let's say it goes to 70 cents and they start to recollateralize, it goes to 75 cents. Then people are going to start buying Tether because it's going up in price. That's what happens with Tether if it goes down in price. If it goes down in price, people sell it. If it goes up in price, people buy it. That's all it is. There's nothing too complicated in my mind about it. Has Uniswap finally decided to give Uni an incentive? That'd be nice. Right now, it's not a productive asset. It never was. FM CVX needs a cheaper network than ETH as gas fees are unusable. Gas fees are unusable for many. 23 Gwei. I pretty much operate unimpeded on L1. I could go through hundreds of dollars. I do, but Convex pays me that capital, and that's I could appreciate the frustration of persons that are restricted from operating on the network due to expensive fees. That's what Polygon is. Arbitrum, Optimism. These things are fast, and wait, but Uniswap is CVX, yeah, Convex and Curve are not on Optimism and Arbitrum, and obviously Uniswap is on Optimism, and I don't know what the status is of their Arbitrum deploy, but yeah, that's what the L2 solutions are. And that's an entire conversation unto itself. But that's why Polygon was so hot a couple months ago. That's why it still is hot, because there's literally it's frictionless. The transaction fees are trivial, and you can do a lot. Captain Weber, hey, my man. Always a pleasure. Gaijin, thoughts on Pulse? Just a network. How many networks are there right now? And they're really robust. So it doesn't really do anything special, in my opinion. Polygon is cheap, and it's fast, and it's functional. So the whole point of Pulse is to really is to fork Ethereum and do proof of stake, which is what Ethereum's doing. So all that matters is the properties of the network. It's going to be fast. It's going to be proof of stake, and it'll have smart contracts. So I don't really hold much value in the primitives and collateralizable assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum. I want functional assets. I want revenue streams. So like a Pulse coin means nothing to me. You're going to collateralize it and take on debt, and you just have a fractionalized revenue stream because of TVL or loan to value (LTV). You can only collateralize or access a portion of the equity stored in any asset. So it's the same functional use case as a financial primitive as every other network token, be it Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Matic, you know, Atom, so on and so forth. Um, so that's not of interest to me. And what would I say about everything like Flare, Pulse, Solana, Avalanche, Phantom? I want the protocol. Show me the protocol and I'll use it. Really, other than Binance Smart Chain because it's of the geographical restrictions, so I'm not really interested in that network. But make a network. People will build protocols that are useful, innovative, and functional. Well, we use them. So that's all I think about it. Great. I look forward to Flare also. And if there's a lucrative opportunity that, from an opportunity cost analysis standpoint, is a reasonable, logical choice, use it. So that's what I think about Pulse. Make some smart contracts, make some products, and we'll use it. Captain Weber, talk a little about Ren Dark Node. We need a refresher. Well, Ren, it was picked up by FTM and, partnership. But suffice it to say, the same opinion I have of Ren VMs is what I had back in March of 2020. Um, they're entrenched. They have been consumed by one of the largest players in the crypto space. The functionality is systemically critical, um, and they have been growing, spreading across multiple networks, and it's just heading in a growth trajectory, and that's what's most pertinent. Now, bear in mind, folks, this isn't the Ren asset, and I know a Ren VM is probably like 30 grand right about now. Um, so that's food for thought, and it's not the most lucrative revenue stream. So it's speculative in that regard because there's opportunity cost associated with the position. You're not getting 60% on your money. But the speculative play is that if these protocols contributing to systemic infrastructure grow into more meaningful infrastructure, then the capital flow through Ren Dark Nodes, Ren VMs, could potentially be extremely lucrative. It's like owning a part of Forex or owning a piece of banking infrastructure. And that's cool. You get a free copy. Okay, that's great. And interestingly enough, FM, you don't have to do a thing. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to do anything. You just get a free copy of everything. Now, bear in mind, like, you're going to get a free copy of Curve, but Curve isn't on Pulse, so it's kind of useless asset that has zero value. There's a lot of things that go into spinning up a new network, and frankly, it's the same thing as any financial system. You need money markets, you need critical mass liquidity, you need forex markets, and you need the monetary velocity to kick off. So just because all the assets are copied, those assets are useless and have zero value until they actually have velocity and protocols to interact with, so people can move them around and consume them for what they are. So it doesn't really mean much. Unless it's the Ethereum, you'll get the Pulse coin, but you know, I'm not really too interested in that. It's not from an opportunity perspective. That doesn't mean really much to me at all. Joe, federal politicians represent their party donors, not their constituents. Well, let's put it this way: listen to politicians talk. And if the words coming out of their mouth are like, oh, God, you're wonderful, you're so good, you represent me, great. But if the words coming out of their mouth are like, you represent me, then you're disappointed and you're frustrated and you're angry because all you want to do is have someone that understands you. And I don't really see any politician that really is like, wow, that's a great person. Like, I have plenty of people that I hear talk, and I'm like, wow, every word that comes out of your mouth is so motivating and uplifting. It makes you feel good. Raoul Pal for politics. The man just has a charismatic presentation filled with intelligence and inquisitiveness and insight and experience. Something about him is very appealing to listen to. And that's what I want out of a politician. Someone that's like, talk more. Please talk more. Instead of less, because all I do is hear politicians talk, and I'm like, please stop talking. Encoder, hello, my man. Greetings from Portugal. Always a pleasure. We're here. We are here. Sapash, Noah is watching people around me aping into new decks on BSC with APY. The price for native token jumped like 3x. As I was watching, people made 3x their money. No, they only made 3x their money if they sold it. I had the chance but didn't do it. I know it's not my thesis to invest in something I don't believe in, not having fundamentals, but missed opportunity like this haunt me sometimes. I am just not built like YOLO Moon Boys. I invest in things like Curb Sushi. My question is, do you ever have these feelings? Sure. Um, very much so. Um, yeah, that's like buying Doge at a fraction of a penny. But what you're having is you missed out on big gains. But it would have been lack of self-respect if you deployed excessive capital to such positions. And I find great value and meaning in self-respect, to have my ideology and my thesis, and I stick to it, and that's something that means everything to me. Um, you got to remember, the goal of what we do is not to make as much money as possible. The goal of everything I talk about is to be as respectful to yourself as possible and have a good ideology, be rational. Heck, I'm Captain Rational. To tell good stories that have meaning and to help people. You're not missing out on aping and missing out on gambling. Like someone went to the casino, they put a quarter in the machine, they came out with 250 grand. Damn, I wish I put a quarter in the machine. No. What is gambling? It's the same thing they did buying new decks on BSE was huge APY. It's gambling. So you have to buy and sell at the right time, because 10,000% APY is going to dilute the crap out of the asset, and it's going to depreciate significantly unless it has decent Ponzi-nomics, which appears that Ohm and Olympus Dow has. Well, I might have a little position on Olympus at this point. So I moved some capital, more capital into Frac shares, and am stable. I didn't buy any more MTA, but I did put more cash in. Got about 30 grand in there right now. So I got all my tax obligations lined up for 2021, 2022 to pay for 2021. So I got all that. And this is earning 28%. So I have plenty of cash for taxes, which means I also have now liquid cash if I need anything for expenses and whatnot. And you all know the fiat off ramp. This is GUSD. So there's your cash. This is cash. You literally could transfer GUSD to Gemini, and it takes seconds. And you can send it to a bank account if you want. You could buy things on the internet. Plenty of things use BitPay and whatnot, and they accept GUSD at this point. Um, and that's how I measure taxes. If any time I take cash, it's a taxable event. So food for thought. Food for thought. So that's the deal, Sapash. What else did I do? Let me show you the fracks. I bumped my FXS stake to a fair amount. It's a lot of money, but it's very powerful, and it's a deflationary asset. At least that's the protocol design. So speculative in that regard, but it's something that produces a good feeling with me. It resonates with me. So frac shares. Let me log in. I'll show you guys. The deal. Fair amount. What do I have? 15,000 FXS, like probably 50 grand at this point. Which gives you 62,000 VEFXS. I have a 4-year lock on this bad boy. Staking. How much cash? I think it's the same amount of cash that I put into M Stable, like about 30 grand. Yeah, about 30 grand. And look, 28 bucks. Boom. And then if you go over to VFX staking, boom, $1,740. Then if you go over to Convex, boom, cash flow. Then you go over to Bancor, cash flow. You go over to Osmosis, cash flow. You go over to M Stable, boom, MTA, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. You go over to Olympus Dow, 15,000%. Oh my goodness. So I bought a couple of those bad boys, just a little bit. Oh, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. What is the ghost emoji? That's Ave. Ave's ghost emoji. I always, it's an emoji, but that's what Ave ghost. Joseph, any opinion on Visor Finance? Do they do automated Uni V3? Yeah, you know, let them prove themselves. It's too early for me. Popsicle has a better reputation, especially with their relationships and partnerships with other protocols. So it's a certain presentation the dev team gives off with regard to credibility and trustworthiness. So that's nice and ice, and you stake it for and ice. So I would be more comfortable with an N ice position as compared to a VSR visor position. And I'm not interested really in LPing unless it's stables, and right now Popsicle doesn't offer a stable pool like that, nor or maybe Visor does. But that's why I liked M Stable, because this is MUSD and GUSD. Oh, it's the holy grail of risk minimized stablecoins. MUSD is a basket of everything. So if anyone's stablecoin has an issue, it's risk minimized, and GUSD is literally one to one with dollars in a bank account. So that's as risk minimized as it gets from a stablecoin perspective. So this is a very risk minimized stablecoin pool. Cash producing 28%. Ah, and I could buy more MTA and bump it up to 37%, which is probably not a bad idea. I have a couple extra bucks sitting around. I have another 7,000 GUSD, which I might throw into MTA to get another 10% on the yield. And Frax shares, that's USDC and Frax. That's pretty good. It's pretty risk minimized stablecoin position. USDC is obviously decent. It has less controversial characteristics as compared to other stables, and Frax is just awesome. They have been through complex situations, and they have done better than most, and clearly they are around, and it is working. The protocol is working. It's a partially collateralized or algorithmically collateralized stablecoin, and it works, and it's popular, and it's cheaper to borrow than GUSD, USDC, and other stablecoins, and that's meaningful. So there's a purpose and a purpose for it, which is pretty cool. You go to Rary Capital, and you can see how demand for Fraxes, which means there's also interest to be made providing Frax as liquidity. Any opinion of the visor pools? Yeah, consider it, Joseph. It's something that I'm not interested in at the moment, but that doesn't really mean much. What's pertinent is return and cash not melting. So weigh your risks, do your opportunity cost analysis, and really the whole topic of conversation that I focus on is we're forced to deploy capital to various positions. It's an absolute requirement, otherwise we're fucked. Now you give your dollars to Wells Fargo, you're screwed. You will not retire. You will not accumulate savings. You will not accumulate wealth. You will be constantly burdened by a need to have more and more dollars, and you will be getting further and further behind. That's it. That's what the government does for us. That's what the monetary policy does for us. That's what the full faith and credit in the United States dollar does for us. That's what it does for you. It burdens you. It is a burden. There's nothing honorable left in the U.S. financial system. It's perverted, horrible. Captain Weber, Sup be careful on BSC, high APY farms. Have a lot of experience with those, and it's gambling. You're going to get a 15,000% APY, but if the asset drops in price 80%, you lost all your money. Come on, guys. 15,000% isn't meaningful. But interestingly enough, if you look at Olympus, it started out at what, 200,000, 2 million? So there's a little bit of history here. And I like their relationship with Frax, and I like the concept of bonding. So people are bonding. And that's where the Ohm minting comes from. So this started out massive, 293%, and has diluted. So if this is where the dilution is, in fact, it went up. It was at 15,300. It's at 15,700. That's pretty interesting. So this was a tiny deployment of capital. You don't need a large deployment of capital. You put $500 in at 15,000% in a year, it's worth 75 grand. So tiny, tiny. You don't. So like Posh mentioned the DEX on BSC, and people made a fortune. Fortunes take time, and even if they made what they made 3x. Okay, really, guys, you made 3x on your money. What they put $100 in, and they made $300. Were they going to get an extra? Go to the supermarket and an extra trip to the supermarket? What's $300? Nobody put in $1 million and made $3 million. Nobody made a fortune. Because if they did, that dump of $3 million would have crushed the entire asset. Everything you're seeing with that people made 3 extra money was tiny, tiny people gambling. And that's not to diminish anyone here or persons with small portfolios. It's really to criticize that 3x doesn't mean shit with $100. And what does that mean? That means you need a different mentality, a different ideology for capital management. You really need a long term strategy that's sustainable, that relieves your anxiety. We have to work and we have to accumulate our value, but we don't want to be fucked by bank accounts that suck the value right out of the money that we just worked our ass for to get. So, the whole point of what we talk about is sustainable methodology, stuff that can be executed on over periods of time, reasonable time horizons. Most of those DEX tokens have tanked. Be glad you didn't drop in one of those. There are far more high APR farms that would have failed while you slept than rare gems. Zach, understatement. And we've been around since we saw DeFi Summer 2020. We saw a BSC Shitfest 2021. And it does the same thing over and over again. I mean, that's why I talk about monetary policy all the time. We talk about debasement. We talk about hyperinflation. So come on, you get 15,000% on an asset is probably hyperinflationary, unless you see some metrics that are potentially interesting. So these metrics are potentially interesting. Bear in mind, well, look, it's collateralization. There's actually a strategy at play where why the value is accumulating. So that's quite interesting. I love Polygon. Aave has less coins on Polygon network. I hope they add more in the future. Inevitable. Will the SEC regulate stablecoins and adversely affect Curve? They're going to try and regulate the shit out of everything. But do you see what Uniswap and Curve did? They're all up on IPFS. These protocols are completely immutable. They're not regulatable. The front ends, the dApps, are regulatable. But the thing about smart contracts is technically you could just go to like Etherscan and literally interact with the smart contracts directly. Literally, can you imagine going to the Curve smart contracts on Etherscan and instead of the Curve dashboard, Curve.fi? But you can. So the whole point is anyone could spin up a dApp that consumes the contracts. And now these dApps are hosted by IPFS. They're not disruptible. They just work, and there's nothing that can be done about it, no matter the regulation. So how they'll regulate, we'll see. Maybe they'll just tax the shit out of everything. Hey man, what are your thoughts on LUSD and liquidity? Not much. Doesn't come across my mind much. Tax, come to Portugal. You don't pay crypto taxes. Portugal is crypto friendly. I love it. Hey Noah, do you think we would have more understanding politicians on crypto if they knew how to at least read code, or is it a lost cause? Most politicians are at 110% lost cause. It's disturbing in all regards. Cynthia Loomis, Tom Emmer. Okay, I mean, Tom Emmer actually really says some great things, and so does Cynthia Loomis. I don't know about all their politics. but I hear great things out of their voice, and that's rare. You know, to me, how a politician talks is quite meaningful, and they say good things. Captain Weber, Panzinomics, 1000%. Binance Smart Chain. Hey Noah, always good to see you. So you're in Omi now? Yeah, I got a little Omi action. It's a little bit. Come on, guys. Just saying, you got to dabble a little bit. I got a little less than 10, so it'll be 10 like in a day with this yield. But I'm more interested actually in my M stable and Frax positions, and as always, convex. I did liquidate my CVX. Food for thought. This doesn't mean anything really, you guys, with regard to your choices. I'm just telling you what I did because I wanted a larger stable component. And CVX yield has dropped because CVX has appreciated. So, whether to have something or not is not the easiest choice. And maybe it was a mistake. I could have clearly just made a big mistake, and CVX goes to $50,000 a coin. All right, so I live with mistakes. So what I saw was I did an opportunity cost analysis, and I'm like, all right, I'd like some cash, which provides me optionality, which I could use to pay bills as necessary. I had to accumulate the cash anyway for my tax obligations in 2022, so I did. And either way, I actually sold half of the CVX for more CVX CRV, so I bumped up that. 584,000. That's a lot. It's pretty cool. I wouldn't mind having an even 600. But that just produces cash daily. You guys know the deal. Now, don't look at my number and be like, "Oh my God, you make a fortune." You know, it's the scale and relativity that matters. You guys are pulling in capital, and now the whole goal is be, to do that repeatedly over time and let it grow and let it grow and let it grow and take your income. That's a nice day's income. It's couple of minimum wage salaries rolled into one, and work. And that's the process. As I say in software development, the hardest step is to understand the process and execute on it, and then follow through, and never start something that you don't finish. That's important. I have a little Bancor action. I have that up here too. Also, do you think decrease in ETH minting fees from to 25 to 15 is a good thing right now for DN operators? Unknown. Um, that'll increase velocity or transactions or minting and burning. So that's why they did that, and that's what they've talked about this whole time. Trying to find and have that fee automated. So if the amount of mints and burns goes down, they drop the fee. If it goes up, they increase the fee. So they want it is for that to automatically occur, probably like a halving or a difficulty adjustment. Matthew, FXS seems to go up when everything else is red. Yeah, so I took a position. I like it. Anything other than dollars. I mean, just I gotta respect myself, and I gotta have some sort of honor. And I sure as hell am not respecting myself, thinking dollars are anything honorable. Sorry, I got in late. Have already asked about Ample on Aave, and yeah, not much interest by me at this point in time. Zach, have you considered shifting into blockchain development? What type of development are you now? Android software. Been writing Android software for the last 11 years. Yeah, I would love to do blockchain. The problem is chicken and the egg. You need to have experience to get a job, and you need a job to get experience. And that's the same situation I had for Android development for many years. And it was 11 years ago. It was 2009. Anytime you're getting into something new, it's a catch-22, chicken and the egg situation. Adam, for yourself, would it only be a taxable event when you withdraw to a bank account or use the cash to buy something? Uh, Anything that hits a KYC bank account, you probably should be reporting that, my friend. There's other complexities, and you always speak with other persons to give you opinion on how to report obligations. But if anything's touching a KYC bank account, you're gonna have to report. You really should report it. Demir, Noah Simon Ghost Emoji is actually Avogacci, not Ave. Everyone is praising it as the next Axie. So, yeah. Hey, Demir, my man. True, but the Ghost is cool. One, and two, I'm more of a Gods Unchained kind of guy for Immutable rather than Aavegotchi or AXS. So I have a very large Gods Unchained collection, and that's my gaming play. It's big. It's a very here. What do I got? Because you play and you also get cards. Um, check this out if it ever loads. I'm showing you guys NFTs. NFT, I love this stuff. It's so slow when I'm streaming. Check this out. Yeah, collection. Let's go to collection. Cards. Load, load. I have so many cards. I have 367, and I've bought a lot when it was cheaper. So a lot of gold cards, a lot of I got diamond cards, bunch of diamonds. I have some of my favorites. I mean, these things are so cool. Items show owned. There we go. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I have a fair amount of really cool cards too in my deck here. Let's go to workshop. We're digressing into NFTs because this is like I feel like I'm playing Magic the Gathering if it loads. Here, I press the button, but let me go through the questions. You think Aave will always be number one lending platform for DeFi? It's not a lending platform; it's a money market. Big difference. Yesterday's content was amazing. Thank you, Noah. Almost passed the initial learning curve because of you. You're very welcome. And you're never done learning. You're just figuring out how to. There's never a perfect portfolio. And why can't I show my cards? You will always be trying to make your portfolio better and better over time. It's not showing. Anyway, I got a whole lot of Gods Unchained cards. I am here from the Ninja. It's a pleasure. Joe, you were bullish AF on CVX. Yeah, Convex, the platform. I tell you guys all the time, I'm bullish on platforms and protocols. I'm not necessarily bullish on assets. And it's all about opportunity cost analysis. If I'm not making enough yield, it's about the revenue stream, the recurring revenue stream. And that's what matters. So if you have to make an adjustment, it's not to hesitate. It's not to fear. You make an adjustment. There's no reason not to. You're in this for you. So don't hesitate and adjust accordingly for your best interest. How often do you compound on finance? For convex, I try and do it as little as possible. Zach, I like Flutter. I've dabbled in it. I have two applications on the Play Store and the Apple App Store that are Flutter app. But yeah, not that interesting right now. So the majority of your portfolio is still CVX CRV with the price bullishness resumption. Would be looking to go more risk on. CVX CRV is my risk on. Yield is my risk on. I want yield. I don't want to make $10 million. I want to make $10,000 a week. That's what I want. Food for thought. Love curve and convex, but it's riskier from a tax perspective. 3 curve helps, but it's typically only 11% or so of total rewards. Are you selling some CRV when you claim for tax purposes? No. Only liquidate 3 curve, which are dollars, which that's the salary. And that's how I think about things. Anyway, thank you, everyone. I want to show you guys more of these Gods Unchained cards when the system actually works. Maybe I'll do an NFT stream. Tuesday, July 27th. As always, it's a pleasure. 12:21 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Tell everyone to subscribe, and I will see you again tomorrow. Peace.